Oh, what a disaster. What an absolute cataclysmic disaster. I mean, Alien Earth. Oh, welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. Welcome to a Star Frontiers video. But I want to talk about something that happened in Alien Earth that I just thought, this is stupid. And it's actually related to where we currently are. A ship has crashed into the city. Oh no! And that happens in Alien Earth. And it's handled really dumb. And I thought to myself, surely that must have happened in somebody's Star Frontiers campaign, and I want to ask how you handled it, because in Alien Earth it's handled really dumb, and I've seen it handled better elsewhere. So I just wanted to bounce some ideas around, ask a few questions, because in a Star Frontier, or in any science fiction campaign, and especially in Star Frontiers, I think it rings true, because it kind of happened in my campaign. You got spaceships, you got star vessels traveling across the universe, and you got big cities on planets. Ne'er the twain shall meet, but sometimes, in theory, hypothetically, you're gonna have a disaster, you're gonna have a crash, you're gonna have something go wrong. And the way it was handled, it's one of the first scenes in Alien Earth, the TV show. And it's just, when I saw it happening, I'm like, come on, they're not really going there, are they? And this is the level of preparation, and this is the fallout from it? Are you kidding me? But I wanted to just compare my notes of how it's handled in other shows, and also in my campaign, versus people with a Star Frontiers campaign. Have you ever had a spaceship crash into a city? I mean, I guess it's got to happen, right? How did you handle that? Did you do better than Alien Earth? Let me get to my complaint first. In the show, and this is not really a spoiler, this is first episode, very early parameters. The whole reason Alien Earth exists is the aliens come to Earth. How do they do that? Well, a ship, very much like the Nostromo, different ship, but like it, is, for whatever reason, careening toward the Earth, and it crashes, and therefore the aliens can skedaddle and get out there and mix and mingle. That's the hook of the series. And okay, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna have a spaceship crash into a city, please do it better than the way they did in the show, please. Because I was watching, and it shows like people going about their everyday. I think there's like some people pumping iron in a park or something like that, and then they're all like, oh, look up in the sky. A spaceship is right up there, like visually within range and careening toward the cityscapes, or the skyscrapers and stuff. Everybody run. And then it crashes, and the crash itself is another problem, but like the crash site. I'll get to that in a second. But just like that very initial premise, are you kidding me? If you've got a spaceship, especially a big one like is in the show, if it's a little Millennium Falcon size thing, okay, maybe air traffic control misses that, or space traffic control misses that. I seriously doubt it, but okay, maybe. But this is a big ship, like the size of a building, and it's crashing into the city. Nobody was alerted. There was no early warning system that told you, hey, by the way, one of these ships has lost control and it's coming toward a big population. Get the people out. There's none of that? Are you kidding me? Okay. And then, yeah, crash, boom, smashy, okay, big explosion. Now we have a big ship crashed into a building, and a bunch of people and investigators come in, hence the story progresses, and we've got the aliens mixing with the people on Earth, blah, blah, whatever. But then, from a making the show point of view, I can kind of not excuse it, I can kind of understand what they were doing from a production point of view, because you've got a ship as a set, and you have the city as a set, And so when the characters walk from the city buildings into the ship, you kind of just set your foot across from one set to the other, and now we're on the spaceship. And I was like, okay, I understand from a making the show point of view that that's convenient, but that makes absolutely no sense at all. If something the size of a building comes smashing into a city, you're going to be lucky if that thing is level. You're going to be lucky if there aren't enormous, like, look at this thing. This thing has smashed and left a giant hole, and huge amounts of construction girders, structure, infrastructure of the building, infrastructure of the ship have all mangled together. You're going to tell me you can just walk over from the building? Oh, now I'm in the spaceship. No, it's not going to happen that way. That's dumb. And the unkindest cut of all was later in one of the later episodes. Investigation crews are going along, and they knock on the door of a guy who's wearing a weird fancy dress costume outfit thing, and they're like, sir, we need you to evacuate the building. Oh, why is that? 'Cause there's a spaceship in your lobby. Which, okay, I guess somebody in the writers group must have thought that was a funny, ironic line, but like, if this thing came careening into the city and smashed into the building, I would think somebody in a building that is at least within the same block would have noticed that. Like, come on, seriously? These guys are carrying on about their day because, first of all, the early warning system didn't warn them, oh, by the way, there's a giant spaceship coming toward you. And secondly, oh yeah, we didn't notice. I think you would notice. Or would you? Star Frontier's campaign organizers, what do you say? If let's say a hull size, oh, let's be modest, a hull size 6, a destroyer or something of that size, is crashing into a city, surely people would know that. I mean, never mind the devastation that would cause, but just like, you would feel it, wouldn't you? Like, come on, this is so ridiculous in the show. It happened in another show, and I think it was handled. It was still a bit silly, but it was handled way better. And that's in Revenge of the Sith, right in the opening scene. There's a whole bit where they go aboard General Grievous's ship. He takes off, but they manage to gain control of the vessel as it's going down. It breaks apart at one point, and it comes careening into their city, into Coruscant. And all of our guests, all of our the Obi-Wan and Anakin and R2 and even Palpatine is there, and they're all like, oh no, we're going to come crashing in. What happened? But at least the city is prepared. I got the impression, because you see these fire ships come in, and they're like using their hoses to extinguish as much of the fire as they can. And the pilot even says, we'll guide you in. I don't know if they hooked on any kind of cables to it, but I couldn't see anything like that. But still, the ship was it was a controlled landing. Anakin did his best to land the ship. He is, after all, a fabulous pilot. And the ship comes grinding to a halt, but at least the vessel was held in, it was smashed up even more. It's on more of an angle than the ship in Alien Earth. And yet, they managed to have another perfect landing. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, Star Wars did it somewhat well. That's how you handle it, at least. It's a little goofball. It's a little crazy as big ship comes crashing in. But at least they, tried to extinguish it. Anakin tried to rein control. It was more of a controlled landing, and yet it was still incredibly devastating. A tower got knocked over at one point. And I'm just thinking, okay, for the sake of the Buck Rogers-ish type adventure of Star Wars, yeah, sure, okay, a spaceship crashed on a planet. Onto a city, but it was on a flat plateau, a landing strip according to Anakin's line of dialogue. Okay, at least that's handled better. But in Alien Earth, there's none of that. It just smashes right in, and there's no big consequence, and people in the same building can't even tell, oh wait, we have to evacuate because there's a spaceship in the lobby? Huh? So dumb. But is that dumb? I have to ask you, the Star Frontiers crowd, any time in any of your campaigns did you ever have to handle this? Because I guess theoretically it should occur at some stage. If you've got that many spaceships in that many cities, there's going to be a cross-connect. I mean, I'm sure the cruise line industry never wants to acknowledge the fact that sometimes their ships have been known to grind into some ports. That's That's a thing. Noticeably way smaller levels of damage. I mean, I'm sure the cruise ship took a lot of damage and it skyrocketed their insurance and they gotta like do all these repairs. I'm sure it wasn't simple, but the cruise line industry has to acknowledge that, like, yeah, okay, sometimes our ships go adrift and they sometimes go right into a pier. That happens. Okay. In Star Frontiers, in your campaign, did a spaceship ever crash into a city? And how did you handle that? How much devastation was there? Did it wipe out? What happened when the atomic engines got pierced? Did they explode? Did you have a nuclear fallout from that? These are questions you have to balance as a Star Frontiers campaign organizer. What did you do? Now, it never technically happened in my campaign. I didn't have a spaceship crash into a city, but I had a spaceship wreckage underneath a city. Long story short, in one of my campaigns, my characters needed to go underneath Port Lorraine on Gran Quivera, the big major's mega city. They were going through the sewer system. Yeah, it was that much of a trope. I apologize, but it made sense within the context of what was going on. Huge underground labyrinthian crazy maze. Like, it took forever to try and find their way and stuff. And there was one bit. I found an old picture. If I can find it, I'll post it here, but if not, I'll try and summarize what it looked like vaguely. Found an old picture of like a spaceship that looked Star Frontiers-esque, ruined in like a marshy environment, and I thought, ooh, that's hitting me with something. I like the concept of like, what if as our characters are going through this crazy maze-like sewer system underneath Port Lorraine, they discover a downed spaceship and the city, what was built over it or something? What's the story there? Didn't want to also answer that question because it's not related to what we're doing in the adventure. So I just had the area flooded with so much radiation that you couldn't go near it. Because let's just move on with the adventure. I wanted it as a bit of decoration or something to make you think, wow, how old is this planet? And one of the players was like, well, wait a minute, if there's radiation in the water system, how is that impacting? Okay, let's get on with the adventure. So, like, even a faint hint of a downed spaceship connected to a city in my campaign was causing more problems than I had anticipated, and that's not even crashed. Like, that's not dealing with the impact of the ship going into the buildings. I was doing it the easy way, and look at what happened to me. So I just gotta know, if you've watched Alien Earth and you've seen this spaceship crashing into a city, or if you've seen Revenge of the Sith and you've seen a spaceship crashing into a city there, has that ever happened in your campaign, and how did you handle it? Because I imagine the devastation both for the people in the city, the vehicle itself, and the questions your players might ask you are going to be insurmountable. I would love to know how you handled it. Meanwhile, I'm going to get the heck out of here because this thing, I'm sure, is not going to stay aflame for long, and I don't want to be around if it blows. So I'm getting out of here. I'll leave it there. So until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.